It was a horrible morning. I started the day off by knocking my contacts case behind the wallboards of the bus, where they fell to an unretrievable place. This wasn't good, as I had to navigate my way through the outdoor shower. It didn't make sense, but I was finally able to get the water to come out. The water was like 50 degrees, and it was the most painful shower I've ever took. I felt like Adam from the Bible, braving nature's elements bare. Both knowledge seekers, Adam seeking the knowledge of good and evil, and me seeking the knowledge of how to make water hot. It's funny how the human experience parallels itself across millennia. The religious sensation was an apt one, as today I planned on visiting the Ark Encounter, a reportedly life-size version of the boat from the Noah's Ark story. It had been some time since I read the Bible, but I had just recently watched Noah, the 2014 film adaptation of the story, so I felt I had a pretty good grasp on it. Noah has a dream that a flood is coming, so he joins forces with a bunch of rock monsters to fight off people who don't believe a flood is coming, but for some reason want to get on the boat. Then one of the people does get on and convinces Noah's son to try to kill him, all while Noah is busy trying to chop up his grandkids. I felt very prepared for my experience, so I headed out. I thought that for an ark so big I would be able to see it from a fair distance away, but as I pulled into the parking lot, I didn't see anything but lots of cars and people. While cars and people are okay, it wasn't what I was there to see. There was a line to the gates, and I was surprised at how long it was. It went by fairly quickly, though, and before I knew it, I found myself on a shuttle. After a relatively short ride, I stepped out of the shuttle and saw the first glimpses of the exhibit. I was surprised to see the exhibit celebrating Pride Month. I found out later maybe I misinterpreted that. As soon as I entered the arches, the exhibit presented itself to me. It was quite the sight. There were some cool animals along the way to the entrance of the ark. I thought it important to remind myself what the next step of my journey was. On the Noah's Ark. As I got closer and closer to the ark, I passed by some tablets illustrating the early books of the Bible. The sculptures detailed how and why Cain killed Abel, and how that represented the wickedness of the world, because killing your brother isn't a very nice thing to do. The ark became more and more extravagant the closer I got to it.
Which one is the fifth one?
Walking onto the ark, I felt like Noah himself. It was very exciting. time for Noah's Ark. See how this goes.
No, I think that's the edge of the ark.
I knew that due to the fact that thousands of people were walking around this ship, that it wasn't going to be the totally authentic experience of being on Noah's Ark. But the intimidating music and blaring animal sounds made it as close to the experience as I imagined one could get. The first level of the Ark was very dark, and my camera could barely pick up what I was looking at, which was like pots and stuff. There were lots of darkly lit animals, which I guess were cool. It wasn't until I saw a sign telling me to look up that I realized the true majesty of what I was standing in. This truly was an impressive sculpture.
Pretty cool, huh?
After witnessing that, I saw some more pots and stuff. There were lots of darkly lit animal figurines in cages. Here's a montage of them. If you can make out what they are, I'd really like to know. After looking at that, it was time to move on to the next area of the ship. I thought it very kind of Noah to include restrooms and concessions on his ark, not to mention a gift shop. With that, I was on the next floor of the ark. The second floor had some illustrations of how the world descended into violence, like when men had gladiatorial fights with dinosaurs and worshipped false idols, which isn't good. There were lots more animals brought to life by realistic sounds. I came across one plaque that I found rather interesting, one differentiating the creationist theory from the evolutionary theory. I've often found religion most convincing when its beliefs aren't delivered in opposition to something, but rather as self-sufficient positions. Moving past some more animals, I came across some humanistic figurines, which detailed the necessary people in the Noah's Ark story, like Noah's father.
How many animals are on the ark? That's a good question.
I was confused as to how Noah's father knew how many animals were on the ark, since he was dead well before God spoke to Noah.
Works out to be fewer than 7,000 animals.
But who knows, maybe God spoke to that dude too. I passed by some more figures like this hot chick who I'm not sure what her role was. Passing by more sets of people, I came to understand that Noah and his family were some players, because these women were very attractive. They reminded me of an Iranian girl who I hooked up with in college that, to this day, I regret not sticking with. I moved to the top floor, which was the brightest lit, and focused on more plaques detailing the plausibility of the Noah's Ark story, including the denial of ancient alien existence. There was lots more cool things to read and see, like some pots and stuff. After exploring 3 stories of the Ark, I came to the exit. It was a truly unique experience, and I needed some memorabilia to remember it by. I had walked a great distance and was very hungry. Since everything was Ark-themed, I was curious as to what the restaurants would be like, so I went to one called Zara's Kitchen. It was basically just Golden Corral. In true Kentucky fashion, I loaded my plate up with high cholesterol and diabetes. After eating, I walked out and the sky had turned to a rather cool gray. As I prepared to head back, I thought about the experience. It was an interesting exposure to a culture that I'm not totally a part of. I have never considered myself religious, though many people have attempted to convert me in my life. Many of those people would suggest that I have a hostility towards religion, but I really don't. In fact, in many ways, I envy those who are religious. My hostility is towards conformity. Seeing all of the different kinds of people enjoying each other and the experience based off a shared sense of purpose made me conflicted. The point of a belief system is to create purpose in life, but that purpose is given validity by consensus. Christianity provides acceptable purpose because so many people believe in it. The same is true for any religion. Knowing this, does that mean that consensus and thus conformity is inherent in true purpose? On my drive back, I began to ask myself, how does one with a dislike of conformity find purpose with no one else to validate that purpose? Can a truly singular purpose exist? And for an honest moment, I felt maybe it's worth it. Even if I have to suspend some disbelief, maybe it's worth that suspension. If the greatest gift people can give to one another is a sense of purpose, then perhaps, even if individualistic purpose exists, maybe it's worth it. If all it takes is a slight suspension of disbelief for not only you finding meaning in your own life, but others finding meaning in it as well, then just maybe it's worth it. Going to bed, I didn't find myself landing on a conclusion, and thinking about what my next experience might be and the pending paternity test from a Minneapolis stripper, I knew it was time to learn what public education never adequately taught me: how I was made.